It's time to work on the 2 denim hearts in our Star-Spangled Beauty ladder quilt. The hearts are on page 14, and the denim background that came from the embellishment kit, I have decided to go ahead and back with fusible interfacing. This will be the background fabric, and interfacing helps when we do the quilting. With these hearts, I have chosen to use a 5x7 hoop, which is the smallest that I can use with this design because of the background quilting. So I've hooped up my 5x7 with my muslin. You can see that I have a whole lot hanging off the top or the back of my hoop, and I purchased 120-inch muslin, and I will cut it into strips to fit the different hoops that I use. I will just keep it velcroed with a little tag that shows what size hoop it fits. So let's stitch out these hearts, and I will show you why I do this with my stabilizer. For this design, I am going to go ahead and just bring them in from the USB without using software. I will go to embroidery into my USB, and I first need to bring in the background quilting. And the first heart needs the background plaid 5. And I need the 4x4 size. And I will hit set. And now I will go to add, back to my USB, and to the embroidery file. And I need to find the heart. I will hit set and embroidery. Now in my settings, I have my 5x7 hoop, and again, I have all of my stabilizer coming off the top or the back of my hoop. And so I am going to go to layout and move, and I am going to move this all the way to the bottom. And I will select OK, and then I like to go to this minus plus needle, and we are going to use a few of these arrows in order to skip some steps. So let's first run the placement for the batting. So here is the placement for the batting, and I am using the first color that will be used in the background quilting, which is a light blue color. And so I need to place my batting, which has been cut exactly to size. I have sprayed the back with my temporary spray, and I am going to just put the batting inside that placement line. Now, since my batting is exactly the size of that line, running the tack down of the batting will not do anything. So I will come back up to my machine, and I will use this down arrow so that I can skip that tack down of the batting. Now the next step is the placement for the fabric. But remember, that only puts about 1/4 of an inch placement line around the batting, and our fabric is so much larger. So I'm also going to skip that step. So I will hit the down arrow, and now the next step is the tack down of the fabric, and I do need that. So I will come back to my hoop, and I have sprayed the back of my piece of denim with a little bit of spray. And you can see how much bigger, again, our fabric, and that little 1/4 inch outside really wouldn't do anything. So I will just basically center, doesn't have to be perfect, over, and we will tack down this fabric. So I'm ready to do the background quilting, and this is a unique quilting design because Kimberbell just came out with a double colored background quilting. This is a plaid background, and I will be using 2 different colors for this background quilting, which again is new. So I will run the first step of the background quilting. So it might be hard to see, but I can see, of course, in person it's easier. I can see the outline of the heart. And I do want to note that if I were to do this again, I probably would have switched the colors of the denim. This is the darker denim, and it has, again, the two-tone plaid background. I think I would have liked the lighter denim with the two-tone. I think the two-tone would have shown up better. So if I were to do this again and use denim, I would switch the backgrounds. So anyways, that's something to think about. So now I just need to place my fabric that I've sprayed with a little bit of adhesive, and I'm just going to make sure it's over those placement lines. And our fabric, again, is much larger than it really needs to be, and so we will tack down the heart. So here is this cute block done. I think that if I were to do this again, I would either change one of two things. I would use this dark blue and the lighter blue on the other lighter denim so that you could see the double background quilting, or I would have used a lighter color for the second color so it could show up a little bit, but it's still super cute. So now what I'm going to do is take this out of the hoop, and I am not going to cut this off. I'm going to move it down and re-hoop. And again, this just saves on stabilizer. Instead of wasting, 3 or 4 inches every time, I'm, super close. And again, it's just a way to save. Again, totally not necessary, but this is just what I do. So now I'm going to go run the second little denim heart. So I'm done embroidering. So I am going to go home and reload the second. It will be the same heart, but a different background quilting. So I will come to the quilting bundle. And this one uses the 4x4 vertical design of the Stars 12. So when something has a vertical and horizontal, in my machine at least, I can't see the full name. So for example, here's a 4x4, 4x4. Horizontal, the H comes before V for vertical. So I will pick the second and hit set. And then I will go to add back to my USB and my embroidery files, and I will choose the same heart, hit set and embroidery, and then again I want to select layout and move it all the way down, select OK, and then go to the minus plus needle, and I will run the exact same steps. I will run the first step, which is the placement for the batting. I will place my batting and place my fabric, and then I will use the down arrow to skip the second step, which is the tack down of the batting, and the next step is the placement for the fabric. I will skip both of those steps, and then I will run the tack down of the fabric and then finish with the heart. So let's finish the second heart block. Also, I left the same color thread that I ended up, which is this blue cobalt color. That will be the color of the background quilting. And so I will just leave it in for my placement and tack down lines. for the outline, I forgot to mention this on the first heart, I went ahead and ran the decorative stitches twice. I just felt like it could use a little bit more coverage. So I ran, again, both the outlines and just used my back arrow to do that. So now I'm going to take this out of the hoop. You can see how little was used between the blocks. So now I'm just going to cut this off. I wanted to mention something about the background quilting on both of these designs. If you notice, and let me see if I can find a better picture. So this inside line, was our placement for our batting, and if you did the tack down of the batting, it would be there as well. This outside is the tack down of the fabric. It's this basting stitch, and you can see that this background quilting goes into the seam. So our last block, and I have it right here, you can see that nothing went into the seams. And so I was able to cut my stabilizer right next to the batting. Some background quilting, just by the nature of how it quilts and travels, it will go into the seam. So when that is background quilting that I use, I do not take out the basting, and I won't try to cut next to it because there's going to be some of the stabilizer in the seam anyways. And so it's to take out just this minimal amount is just not worth the time. So for a block like this, I will trim it from the front because I can see my basting, and I'm going to center my block. Again, I'm going to use the orange pop ruler, and I will center this with that basting. Now sometimes the basting might be pulled in a little bit. This one looks pretty good. And so I will just center it as best I can with the basting, and then I will go ahead and cut the block. And again, sometimes there's little threads that I just don't quite get up into that corner, so you can just trim them with scissors. And so there's this block, so you can see that the basting is still there, and the stabilizer will be in the seam, but I get them out of the blocks that I can. So there's our first, and then with the second one, I will line it up to that basting, and this one's a little bit harder to see because it's pretty much the same color as the background. Now normally I press my blocks before I trim them, like 99.99%, but this denim because I added the interfacing is pretty flat, and so I didn't feel like I needed to press that first. So here are the next two blocks.